Hello, Vikings fans, and welcome to the Purple People Podcast. I'm Kyle West. Adam Carlson finally got his Skype fixed. How
That's
you
me.
doing, Adam?
Oh, I got this thing working.
You
My
got
computer is older than dirt, so I'm surprised I can get her going.
you got working like a boss.
That's true, that's true. Welcome everyone to episode 45 of the Purple People Podcast. This one's titled Winfield of Dreams.
Ooh, I like it. That's creative.
Uh, I like puns. I hope you guys do too, because otherwise you are going to hate my titles.
Yeah.
What do you have for us this week, Kyle?
Well, we're gonna start out with the social media question of the week, like we always do. And
Alright.
yay, this one comes from our Facebook group, which I just wanted to make a quick note that this week you guys had like three or four just really awesome questions that we could have went with. And I chose this one because I think it's probably going to be the only time that we'll ever get a chance to talk about it. So that's the reason why I went this route. And this one comes from Shane. He wants to know if Duran Carter, that's Chris Carter's son, is still there. Will the Vikings draft in the fourth or past? Adam, you want to go ahead and take first crack at this one?
I am going to go out on a limb here and say that Carter is going to have a hard time getting drafted at all, let alone in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
We might see a team take a flyer on him in the sixth or seventh, but it would have to be a team that knows what they're getting into with him. By that, he has some pretty well documented issues regarding his attitude and work ethic that could make people really wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, his production at both the college level and community college level. Although he had some good numbers at the community college level, I don't think they're enough to make a team say, okay, I want to take a chance on him. He does have the size and the frame that everyone looks for in a wide receiver, but there's only so much you can do with talent. You have to want it.
And let's be honest here, the only reason that his name would even ever come up in a conversation is because he's the son of Hall of Fame NFL wide receiver and Vikings legend Chris Carter. Uh,
True.
if if he wasn't, would we really be talking about a guy who played one season at Ohio State and then like after that, he was at where was that Coffeyville Community College for a season, and then transferred out of that to Alabama. It looks like, and then was there for a year, didn't see the field, and then ended up in I don't know where, and he didn't even play there. So I mean, you're realistically looking at a guy who had a couple years of high school and 1 year at Ohio State that wasn't really anything spectacular. And I don't know, you read so much about his attitude and whatnot. He's fourth round or past. I don't think he's getting drafted. The only way I see him even remotely coming to this team is Leslie Frazier saying, "Hey, Chris Carter, we're gonna do you a favor, and we're gonna give your kid a
Give your boy
shot.
a shot.
Yeah, we're gonna give him a shot after he goes undrafted. We're gonna sign him, to the team. But I don't even see that happening. So no, I really don't think that's gonna be a factor at all in the Vikings' plans.
Well, at Ohio State, he had played 13 games. He averaged 13 and a half yards per game and had one total touchdown as a receiver. So his numbers there were just pathetic. And then you go to his numbers at Coffeyville: 9 games played, 10 receiving touchdowns. Okay, that's all right, but you got to remember
It's a
this is one step
Coffeyville
up from high.
Community College. Yeah.
In 9 games played, he caught 44 passes, 690 yards. At that level, with his size and his physical ability, he should have twice those numbers.
Hmm.
And finally, I'm going to read a nice quote that his former quarterback at Coffeyville Community College, Caden Cochran, had posted on Twitter back in February about him. He wrote, Any team that drafts Duron Carter will get the most lazy, whiny, and non-work ethic player the NFL has ever seen. Horrible person, and will be a complete cancer to any team on the board. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like someone who really didn't like being his teammate.
Yeah.
That's a polite
And,
way to put it.
and that's coming from community college. um, and yeah, I just wanted to make note for anyone listening. We're not trying to, kick the guy while he's down. I hope he had a turnaround in his life and he can make a go with
Absolutely.
this. We're not trying to knock Chris Carter. He's a Vikings legend. We love him here at the Purple People podcast and all that stuff, but I just me and Adam are both in the same boat on this one where we don't see his son being factoring at all into the Vikings plans, and yeah, I think we'll just kind of
No,
leave it
unless
at
he
that.
has some kind of attitude turnaround, it's not something that I can see happen. I can see him getting a tryout with a team,
Mm.
being brought into camp, but I don't know if he'd last long.
Yeah.
But thank you for your question.
Yeah, this is an awesome question. I like that one. That was a fun one.
All right, so you got anything else for us before we move into some quick hits?
Yeah, I got one quick thing here. You know how I said there was a lot of really awesome questions that we could have picked from this week? Well, there's a second one that I could not pass this up. And this one comes from our friend Lawrence Tucker. He wants to know the stat numbers that the Purple People podcast post about John Carlson. They aren't being inflated by Adam Carlson, and that would be no family affair, right, Adam?
I don't know. My family tree, I am not 100% sure about it, but let's just say we're not sure.
Oh, for those of you who wonder, we poke fun that Adam Carlson here and John Carlson, our resident tight end, are related in our Facebook group all the time. So that's what's going on there with that one, and that was too good for me to pass up. I had to pick that.
I gotta admit, I laughed at it when I saw it posted too.
That was pretty funny.
All right, so the big news of the week, as you've seen on Facebook and Twitter and every other form of social media, and probably your friend who's been crying on the couch lately, is that Antoine Winfield met with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the
Surprise,
Seahawks have a
surprise.
lot more salary cap money than the Vikings, so if they want Winfield, they'll probably give him the money to get him. Now, it might be a good option for him. You know, he's a great defense, a great offense. He's got a good chance at making a good Super Bowl run. If he stays with Minnesota, I think it would be mostly out of team loyalty and familiarity.
Hmm.
I've also read that the Redskins are still in the mix, although with their cap money and just signing another corner, I'm not 100% sure that that's the direction they'd want to take. But we should find out within the week of where his destination will be, which is good because we want to know before the draft.
Yeah. And I say, whatever, if he chooses to go to Seattle, more power to him. I'm not going to be all bent out of shape over his decision to do that because we're the team. Well, not us at the podcast, but Rick Spielman and the Minnesota Vikings. Let me rephrase that. We're the ones that released him, and he's a free agent. He can go wherever he wants, and it's not like he's trying to stick it to the Vikings by going to Seattle. They just happen to be one of the teams that have shown serious interest in him, and I would respect his decision to do that.
Me too, and I would definitely thank him for all his contributions while he was a Viking. One of my favorite players to watch. I have his jersey. I wear it proudly, and I'd still do so after.
Yeah. With that said, wouldn't it still just kind of piss you off a little bit for him to go to Seattle?
Oh, I didn't say I'd be pleased about it. I'd still be mad. I'd probably kick a few things around the house, but after that, I'd probably calm down and see what the Vikings do to work on improving that secondary.
Yeah. I think,
But speaking of players that are going to be of Vikings jerseys, we saw a little bit of a hint as far as what color the new Vikings jerseys were going to be. And we saw that nice dark purple that we were all hoping for. Well, maybe
yeah.
not all, but I was.
Well, I know I was too.
And we got some nice just shiny golden thread rather than the yellow that we've seen in the past. I am really getting excited the more and more clues that I see about these uniforms because I think I'm really going to like them.
I agree. They showed the dark purple, and it looks to be, from what little they've shown, is a good bulk of the jersey. Looks like it's going to be solid dark purple. And this is just speculation, don't think it's going to have those big white stripes that kind of ran up the side of them. Those potentially could be gone, which is a good thing. I'd be happy with that. Um, and like you said, replacing that bright yellow with a gold color is it should look really nice. It looks like there was some black around the collar potentially too. And if
It
you
looks
look,
sharp.
yeah, if you look at the photo of that cleat that they released, you see there was a lot of black on that. So I'm wondering if there's going to be more black incorporated with the overall design of the jersey too.
Agreed totally, and I'm excited to see it on draft day.
Yeah, I like what they're doing with rolling this out. It's kind of fun to get little hints here and there or whatever. Although, with that said, I'm really just honestly ready for them to be like, "Hey, here's what the jersey looks like," because it's kind of annoying, the teaser images that they've been posting. I don't know, did you see the one where the helmet? It was the one in the helmet where the purple had that weird finish to it. It looked like a bowling ball. Did you see that one, Adam?
Um, I haven't seen any helmet ones yet. I saw a fan made one where it had like chain link in the purple.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Was that a fan one?
Yes.
Okay, see, this shit is getting me all confused because in the middle of the stuff that the Vikings are releasing, you're getting all this fan crap that's coming out too, and it's just too much junk, and I don't know what's what, and that's why I'm ready for them to just hold up the frickin' jersey with Adrian Peterson's name on the back of it and be like, hey, here's your 28 jersey that you're going to be buying in like 2 minutes. Look how awesome it looks. Like, I'm ready for us to get to that point.
I'm impatient too, don't worry. But come draft day, we'll all be relaxed a little bit more, I think, and we'll be able to sit back, enjoy the draft, see some new jerseys, and just enjoy the day.
Seriously though, I thought that helmet was like an officially released, like, oh, maybe it'll look like this kind of thing.
No, no.
Ugh. It's starting to get on
They
my
tricked you
nerves a
pretty
little
good.
bit.
The Vikings brought in 2 players to work out in the last week. Sad news for Chris Cluey is that they were both punters.
Yeah, I'm not liking where this is going. If they, like I said, if they replace Chris Cluey, the new punter, you will be hazed over Twitter like you would not believe. You will have to block me because I'm just gonna haze you every time you tweet. Uh, we seen what happened when they replaced Ryan Longwell with Blair Walsh, and everyone went, now, who was that was our kicker last season? Because this Blair Walsh guy's pretty good. So if they replace Chris Cluey, they better find the Blair Walsh equivalent out there in the punting universe to do it with.
Well, the 2 guys they brought in were Brad Wing and Sam Martin. I don't know if they're bringing in these guys to put pressure on Cluey to perform better or what, but they already have one other punter on the roster, and it could spell doom for the Viking specialist if they draft one this year. Also, remember Cluey is scheduled to make 1.5 million or 1.45 million this year, and they could sign someone else to do the job for about half the price. One other thing you have to remember though is that Cluey is the holder for the Vikings too, so they would have to find a replacement for that as well.
Well, we got Jared Allen for that. He's the backup holder too. Or no, long snapper. Wait, right? He was the
Yeah, he does. He is the backup long snapper.
Yeah, backup long snapper. Who was I thinking that was the backup holder? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it's ever come to that, has it?
I honestly, I don't know what I'm talking about. I was thinking of Jared Allen on the long snapping thing though.
The Vikings also held their annual Top 30 event where they bring in their top 30 players that they have on their list.
Mm-hmm.
What was really interesting to note about that is that only 3 middle linebackers were brought in for the tryouts, and that was Ogletree, Teo, and Alonso.
Hmm.
Absent from the event were Kevin Minter and Arthur Brown. It's really interesting to see that those two were left out, but I'm still confident that one of either Teo, Minter, or Brown will be one of the Vikings' first round picks.
I think so too. I'm pretty confident that one of those first round picks is going to one of those guys that you just mentioned, and then the working theory that I have is that the other one is kind of dependent, like you said at the beginning of the show, on what Antoine Winfield does. And if he signs with Seattle, then I think you look at a strong possibility of us going corner with that other pick. If he does come back to the team, then you have a little bit more leverage to lean wide receiver. Ultimately, though, it comes down to best player available based
Exactly.
based on the list that you've came up with, and you're not so much reaching for need as going, this is the guy that we got the highest grade on, and he just happens to be da 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 position. I think that's who you draft.
Exactly. So we read some bad news about the Viking Stadium. The electronic pull tab system that they had in place to pay for the revenue is not meeting the expected revenue, so they're going to start exploring other options to fund the project.
I think
Now, I've read that
basically
this could delay the building of the new stadium, but I don't think it will. I think it'll make things a little more difficult going forward, but I don't think we'll see a delay.
I think basically what this means is after the draft, you can look forward for the Wilfs to be starting an official Kickstarter campaign to kickstart the Minnesota Vikings stadium, because apparently that's the only way this thing is going to get done. Uh, I I was so hoping to never hear the words Minnesota Vikings Stadium until they were cutting the ribbon outside the thing and saying it's open. Uh, I don't even want to know. I don't even care what's going on. Just build the thing. That's
Now, I'll be 100% honest, I don't even know what an electronic pull tab is.
it's some kind of gambling thing, if I remember correctly. Uh,
It's something that I feel they haven't really advertised enough to Vikings fans to let them know, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why. I
yeah,
think
and
that more pushing that out there could really help the revenue.
I don't know. We would have to have our fans that live in the state of Minnesota maybe reach out to us and help inform us a little bit more on that one, because I know I live, just across the border into the state of Iowa. So whatever they do with like their local Minnesota gambling stuff, I can't take part of that, living in Iowa. So
You might be able to, who knows, it might be an online thing.
yeah, well, I don't know. There's like the Iowa online gambling thing is really weird here in my state too. Um,
But we'll have to do a little more research on that and find out a little more for you guys.
my only thought potentially is that maybe if there is a way, and I use the Kickstarter thing as like a joke, but if there is a better way for fans that live out of state to support the Vikings by buying something, I don't know what, and part of that money helps to go to, towards the stadium. I I would think they could look into something like that, but Lord knows this is 10 years in the making. You'd think they could have figured all this out by now. But
Well, I was talking to my sister, and I know that neither of us are, really big in the Vikings organization or anything. But we were talking about if the Vikings end up doing something to raise revenue where they are selling bricks from either the old stadium that you can put a little nameplate on, or in the new stadium that you can still put a nameplate on and you can go find it inside the building.
uh-huh.
I think those would both be really cool ways to make money.
See, they've done stuff like that in the past. When the roof fell in here a couple winters ago, you could buy a piece of the old roof.
Right.
And I think my friend Paul actually has a piece of the old Metrodome roof. And I mean, I don't know like, what did that money go to? Like, did that actually go towards funding the new stadium, or did they just do that for like extra pocket revenue or whatnot? But you're right, they could do something like that, and they have done things like that. I do know for a fact that my friend Paul has a piece of the Metrodome turf. So I mean, you can get that stuff somehow.
But it's something that I think that they may end up exploring, and if they do, I don't know about other fans out there, but it's something I'd definitely be interested in in doing it.
Yeah, I'd love to
If I could
have,
get my name on a brick in the new stadium and say that I'm part of that stadium
yeah,
or I contributed to it, that'd be awesome.
or like you said, when they blow up the Metrodome, you can buy, hey, I got a piece of the roof, or I got a brick from the old Metrodome, or whatever, and come with a little nameplate, and that goes towards the building of the new one. I'd be all over that. I'd buy anything Vikings related. Of course, I would buy a piece of the actual old building. Yeah, I will.
Exactly.
I will buy the old building for $1, like that episode of The Simpsons.
Well, we had a couple Vikings birthdays last week. Jared Allen, Leslie Frazier. Jared Allen turned 31. Leslie Frazier turned 54. They both celebrated their birthday on April 3rd. So we here would like to wish them a happy belated birthday and thank them for all they've done for the Vikings.
It's funny how you said Jared Allen turned 31, and 31, like you meet someone on the street who's 31 and they're a young man, and in the NFL he turned 31. He's getting up there in age. He's so old.
Right.
And it's just funny how that works out.
In other happy news, Vikings cornerback Josh Robinson got married this week. Best of luck to him and his new bride on their future together.
Do you think it'll be a distraction like what it was when Christian Ponder got married?
I don't know. He actually did it during the off season, and to be honest, I didn't even know he was dating anybody. So hey,
Well, there you go.
all I know is that he can play the heck out of a game of Call of Duty. That's all I know. That and one good corner, speedy guy.
You gonna tell him about the Call of Duty thing, or are you gonna make everyone wonder why you're talking about Call of Duty right now?
Our listeners know.
Oh, come on, we picked up a lot of new listeners. I think you need to tell them about the Call of Duty thing, Adam.
Now let's move on.
Well, you can
So
hit
the
me
Browns
up.
released.
You can hit me up on Twitter at PurplePeoplePod, and I will tell you the story about Call of Duty and Adam and the Vikings players.
So the Cleveland Browns released middle linebacker Chris Gokong this week, and he might be someone the Vikings should consider taking a look at. He had an Achilles tear that should be 100% healed by now.
Spielman will be
He's
all
29 years old, and he should be an option for the Vikings at middle linebacker, whether it's as a starter or for depth. But as of right now, for what they have at middle linebacker, they really don't have anything. So if they could throw an offer of league minimum at him, they could probably pick him up.
Yeah, like I just joked about a minute ago. Vikings Spielman loves formerly injured players for whatever reason. You know, they come at a bargain. So I could see him go bargain shopping for that guy.
Definitely. So in other interesting news, former Vikings defensive end. What? Why did I write that? Ray Edwards. I wrote Ray Lewis for some reason.
Really? I didn't know Ray Lewis played for the Vikings, Adam.
I didn't either, but apparently my fingers think he does. I
Yeah.
don't know. But Ray Edwards decided to leave the NFL to focus on his career in boxing. He was recently released by the Atlanta Falcons after failing to meet their expectations.
Now, did he choose to leave the NFL, or did the NFL choose to leave Ray Edwards?
I'd like to think it was a mutual parting.
I'd like to think it was more along the lines of you kind of got fired from Atlanta and no one else wanted you, so now you're trying boxing.
Well, we all know that he's a good boxer because we saw that one guy just get floored off that punch that didn't even touch him. I mean, I think it was the wind from his glove. Just
Yeah.
blew the guy back.
You mean the one fight where they put Ray Edwards in with a guy that was half his size? And of course,
still took a dive.
Yeah. And of course, Ray Edwards just completely decked the guy. You talk about giving someone no chance for a fight. I don't even know. Whatever they paid that guy, they should have tripled it.
I'm sure he did fine. And another interesting thing happened this offseason is that Vikings fullback, tight end Red Ellison worked on getting his master's degree in communications from USC. He did his final thesis on how to become successful in the NFL.
Well, there you go. There is a player who you're never going to hear a bad thing about him. You know that? I don't want to jinx him.
I love seeing players that go back to school and finish what they started.
Yeah, it's really nice.
When he graduates, or if something happens in the NFL, he's got this communications master's degree to fall back on. I mean, we could see him as a commentator. We could see him going and doing whatever else his heart really desires. So this is a guy that's got his ducks in a row.
Yeah,
That's
it's a very smart thing to do because at any moment, you could suffer that injury in the NFL where that's it, it's over, your career's done with. And for a lot of these guys, all that they know is football. That's all that they've done. That's all they concentrated on in high school, in college, and into the pros. And then after it's over with, then what do you do? And what you said, you got a communications degree?
yep, master's degree in communications.
Makes sense because a lot of former NFL players will go on to get jobs in broadcasting and fields like that where they can, it's a sport they're knowledgeable in, but then they've also got the knowledge of working in that field. And you look at someone like, I'm going to use Brett Favre, for example.
Okay.
Not the greatest when he's on camera doing commentary and some of the other stuff. He could have benefited from maybe having that kind of degree.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, the last piece of information I have this week is on wide receiver Keenan Allen. Now, I know you like Keenan Allen,
I do.
but he held his pro day, and his 40 times were not what people were hoping to see. How did that make you feel when you saw those numbers?
Yeah. Ooh, I looked at him. I had to burp there for a minute. And that's what I thought of his numbers. They made me burp. I don't know how much you want to read into it. It didn't help his stock at all. If anything, it leaves you with more of a question on how well he healed from that injury, which he suffered at this point quite a while ago. And if he's still not 100% from that, then you're wondering about durability issues on top of everything else. And it makes him more of a iffy prospect, that's for sure. And it's going to be very important for the Vikings, whatever they do with those first round picks, to get players that are going to come in and be a factor on this team from day one. And maybe Keenan Allen's not quite that guy.
Well, the Vikings already have a couple guys on their roster that are dealing with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Greg Jennings is coming off a pretty devastating hip groin injury that he suffered all last year. We got Greg Childs, who had both of his knees just completely shredded. And
Jerome Simpson.
At this point,
don't forget Jerome. He had his
Jerome
injuries last year.
Back and foot issues.
And then I don't even know who else is our receivers on the team. Jarius is.
I have no issues with Jarius yet.
Good,
I mean,
good, clean bill of health, right?
As far as I know.
Well, he had. Wasn't there something that happened to him in preseason that they kind of used as the reason for why he wasn't active for the beginning stretch of the season?
I'm not sure. But all I know is that this nagging PCL injury of Keenan Allen's really has me taking a second look at him and wondering if drafting him at 23 or 25 is really that great of an idea.
Well, how far do you think he would fall into the second round? I mean, that's kind of your question with him, is that if you've got those questions about him, like I said, that draft the best player available analogy, that maybe bumps him down farther on the list. And you go, if he's there when we draft in the second round, maybe we're comfortable taking him. He probably wouldn't be at that point, so maybe he's just kind of off the Vikings board.
I'm not sure, but they have to find something that sticks. And by that, I mean a healthy guy that can play, move the chains, be a contributor all the time. And if Keenan Allen is really going to struggle, I know that he can dominate when he is healthy. We've all seen that in his highlight films and game tape. He does have the potential to be an excellent, excellent wide receiver. But now we're hearing about maybe Cordarrelle Patterson dropping out of the first round. We're hearing that Robert Woods is a second-round pick. We're seeing all these super talented wide receivers just falling to the end of the first, beginning of the second. And we could see the Vikings waiting to see a few of them getting picked up and then trading up with their second-round pick.
It's a little side rant I could go on right here. That's the thing about this time of year, right before the draft, that drives me nuts, is you get everyone who does their mock drafts, and they're so high on people, and then all of a sudden they're inexplicably dropping back into the second round, and you guys are shooting up. It's like all of a sudden, everyone who was so confident on where people were going just get bored with that and be like, well, maybe he's gonna go over here now. I need to do a new mock draft, so I think he's gonna go over here in this round. And I'm at the point where I'm just ready for whoever the Vikings are gonna draft to be drafted and to come onto the team, so we can get excited about the players that are actually here, instead of talking about what maybe might potentially happen somewhere down the line.
And on that note, I think that we're going to call her quits for the show, unless you have anything else that you'd like to add.
I think it was an ankle for Jarius Wright, by the way. I did a quick Google search while you were talking, and yeah, that was I think he rolled it in preseason or something like that, and that was the sort of excuse that the team used for the reason why he wasn't active.
Sounds good to me.
So there you go.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for listening, and remind everyone to visit us on Facebook and Twitter, and to stay classy, Minnesota.